This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For our full disclosure, visit us at nc-midwifery.com.
You gotta push the middle button.
I did.
You sure you know what you're doing?
Stirring of your dirty water?
It's not dirty water.
It is.
It's instant coffee, only 1/3 strength.
Yum.
With a teaspoon of water.
Look, it's not me, okay? Something's gone awry.
She wants a straw.
It says it's brewing.
Welcome back to More About Birth. This is our famous annual Christmas podcast. Welcome back, ladies. How are you?
We are good. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
So we were just going to kind of chat and do our little hey, hello, Merry Christmas and tell you what we have planned. But we decided to do a podcast because I was looking online about Christmas and stress and new moms. I have a new mom that isn't even a week postpartum, and I can't believe all the stuff she's done already. And I'm thinking, this is a recipe for disaster. So we thought we'd entitle this podcast Mom's Christmas Survival Guide. And I think my bent is more on new moms, like you've got a new baby or a baby under a year old, and how are you going to do Christmas and not be stressed out? And Angie having a range of children from 2 to 13 now.
14.
14? No.
Crazy.
She can't.
Yeah.
I think Angie will hit more on tradition and keeping it under control. But so I looked on the internet and I was like, is this really a thing? And sure enough, there are tons of articles
On what?
about stress during Christmas with moms.
That's because we need more chocolate.
I have been trying to lay off the chocolate lately. It's not working very well
Or
for
Jack
me.
Daniels. one of the two.
Isn't there some kind of proof that chocolate makes you more at ease?
It does help your endorphins, dark chocolate.
So the ladies eat
Your
chocolate during the
serotonin.
holidays
Or
to lower
drink
stress?
it. I mean,
Yeah, we've got our hot
Whatever.
cocoa.
whatever works.
No, I keep going and dipping into the advent calendar over there, and it always starts off with about 4 or 5 pieces in each day, just in case people come by. And then about a week into it, I've snuck them all out of all the numbers until there's only 2.
That's a
There's
good
some-
thing.
One
there's
for
some-
me and one for Keith.
There's some people listening going, what does it mean to dip into the advent calendar? Is that like a bottle of something, Shannon?
It's like my little Santa, or ho ho ho, as my granddaughter calls him. You know, the numbers and forget it.
You're supposed to take one out each day, and it's a good thing you put in extras. Otherwise, people would think it was like the day before Christmas.
Okay,
Look, all
just-
the chocolates are gone.
Just to clarify, ladies, that is chocolate, little pieces of chocolate in the advent calendar.
Chocolate.
That is what they're taking out.
She's not
just in case.
dipping into the special cough
Yeah, the
syrup.
special coffee crap.
The cherry cordial.
The cherry cordial.
Well, it truly is a thing to have holiday anxiety. And especially as a new mom, you're already a little overwhelmed and you got all this stuff going on. You're trying to learn how to mom, especially with your first baby. And a lot can happen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some things that people can do to alleviate some of that stress. And I mean, the first thing I thought about, and Angie's laughing at me because I said, you know, we got to quit trying to be Hallmark Christmas movie or Pinterest perfect or, you know, Facebook.
Even though Shannon's house is Pinterest
I've been
perfect.
married for 41 years almost, and I've collected stuff, and I don't have kids at home anymore. I can decorate my house.
All I know is in my live stream last night, you got high scores when we did
He showed everybody
a tour of the
my
Bennett's
Christmas
house
decorations.
last night on my live, and Shannon got
Oh.
great scores, and Angie's just shaking her head.
But I do think that is the main thing that stresses us out, is trying to keep up with the Joneses or keep up with Pinterest or Hallmark movies. And life is not a Hallmark movie. In fact, I remember one time I was determined that we were going to have this great grandma, grandson gingerbread making episode. So I picked him up after school, and he was 12 at the time. 12-year-old boys aren't into gingerbread houses. He said he wanted to make one. So I picked him up. We got all the stuff. I had the frosting made, tons of different candy. We get here, and about 20 minutes into it, I mean, the walls are barely up, and he goes, Nana. I said, yeah. He goes, can we be done now?
Can we build the cabin later?
So much for my Hallmark moment. But I think that's one of the biggest things. But we were talking about there's a lot of celebrations, a lot of being around other people. Mm-hmm. So we were thinking of some things that you could do and be mindful of.
Especially with a new little baby.
Yeah, especially
because there are things that can go wrong. I mean, the year before last, we talked about Christmas-itis.
Mastitis at
Christmas time. So, if you're not paying attention, there are things that can happen that you don't want to have happen. Mm-hmm. Like, baby can get overstimulated and not sleep, or baby...
If you're passing your baby around a lot, they truly get overstimulated, and you will pay for it later when you go home.
Yeah. If you're not paying attention, especially in those early weeks, you can easily lose your milk supply.
Yeah, because, when you're at home, you're sitting around, and every time your baby fusses, you sit down and nurse, right? But when you're somewhere else in public or around a lot of people, you tend to say, oh, I'll put him off a little bit longer. It hasn't been quite 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And, those first weeks, you're really building that supply. You don't want to risk it. Well, and then how about an exhausted mom? What happens when mom gets exhausted?
Well, she's going to get sick.
Mm-hmm. And you're already eating too much sugar during this time of year.
And if you're still healing, you're prone to infection. And these are some serious things you really don't want to mess around with.
You're not sleeping, very well at night still. You're up a lot, so you're behind on your sleep, and you're a recipe for all kinds of stuff. I was thinking, too, about hosting. So maybe like me, I've always hosted Christmas. And this year we're going to my daughter's. I'm so excited. Woohoo! But I've always hosted Christmas. And sometimes when you do have a new baby, it's really stressful. So there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Maybe potluck it. Don't go to the grocery store. Do your Walmart or Fred Meyer Instacart grocery order. Don't try and be super mom.
Paper plates.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Get the pretty paper plates and you'll be fine. But ask for help. Mm-hmm. So, you can do a potluck. You can simplify it. We used to do the whole big, prime rib or ham or something for Christmas dinner. And after a while, I was like, you guys, we barely get done with the breakfast casserole and rolls. And then we eat, Christmas goodies. And we make this big meal after we've done all that. And nobody's hungry. Mm. So we've kind of gone to doing like a Christmas night. Everybody brings a pot of soup, a different flavor, and rolls and a quick salad, or maybe crock pot lasagna, just something a little bit easier.
This is the cooking podcast, if you were unaware.
So where are the guys in the middle of all this? Are we adding stress or are we relieving stress?
Oh, you're asking a loaded question.
There might be guys listening. It's your chance,
I think
ladies.
we're going to skip right over that one.
You are going to make the Chex Mix, aren't you?
Oh,
aren't we having breakfast casserole? You made gingerbread, right? Yeah, there's a little bit of pressure.
Okay. There you go, guys. You have it.
There's a little bit of pressure. If you really want to help her out, though, help with the shopping, like not 2 days before Christmas, but 4 weeks before Christmas.
Oh, wow. That seemed like that was aimed at me.
And don't buy yourself anything the month before Christmas. I'm letting you tell them
that's the best part.
It was only, it was just, I had this coupon because of my channel.
It was just.
And I needed to figure out if I had spent it or I didn't spend it. So I just took something from my wish list and I tried.
It wasn't even on your wish list.
I tried the coupon. So I tried the coupon and the coupon was actually $1 more than I needed to buy this book. So I bought the book. Little did I know that a few days later, my wife looks at me with that look and goes, hey, would you please not buy anything before Christmas? I go, well, I did buy a book. And she goes, I know, it's the same book I just ordered.
It's the same
for you."
book that I bought you for part of your Christmas present. And funny thing, it came on the same day.
Hey, by the way, it's a really good book. Thank you, baby. I love you.
I know. I told him, he goes, this is a really good book.
You have great taste.
I'm like,
You have
I'm
great
glad
taste.
you enjoyed it because that's what I got you for Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Actually, so now we can sit down and read it. We have a his and her copy.
Oh, whatever. That's stressful at Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
So Angie had a good point about like the busyness and being at people's houses or having people over. You don't want to pass your baby around. It's cold and flu season, and we've done podcasts on that before. Wear your baby. Just wear your baby. Then you don't have to worry about people asking to hold the baby.
Yeah.
And if you're planning to go somewhere, like you're going to go out and look at the Christmas lights, or if you're going to go over to grandma's and take gifts over, feed your baby right before you go so that you've at least got a while until you need to nurse again. Try and plan your things. I had some really good notes here, but
So this is like a Christmas survival guide.
yeah, Mom's Christmas
That's in
Survival
fact
Guide.
what we named it.
Really?
That's what you get to put on
Really,
the title.
Keith?
Christmas survival guide.
Talk to me
Wow.
about unwanted advice. So you've got this new
Oh.
baby and you're around all this family that you haven't seen for a long time, and
And you're very hormonal.
you're a bag of hormones.
Oh boy. I don't want to answer this question.
Why not?
I mean, it's just because it's a hard thing. I mean,
Mine was the pacifier. I don't know if you had a particular thing, but I remember my great grandma came over and gave me a lecture about pacifiers and why I shouldn't be giving that baby a pacifier. And she was a nurse, like an old nurse.
So in reality, everybody's wanting to help. So it's
Yeah,
just,
they want to help, but
that's the last thing in the world moms
well,
want.
no, but
You're already
sometimes they're not
insecure.
helpful. Sometimes
Yeah.
people are really, really opinionated,
Mhm.
and it's just not a good time to.
no, not with a real new one. Once you've had a baby for a while and you're kind of set in your momhood, for lack of a better word, you kind of know who you are and what you believe and what you know is best for your family.
Yeah.
But at first, just keep those opinions to yourself.
Just smile and nod. If people say snarky things to you, just smile and nod and say thank you for your kind input. And then go serve
Yeah,
lunch.
just say, I'll take that into consideration. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then just, but I think the last thing I want to bring up before you talk about some traditions and things is just a timeout for mom. So when you are getting stressed,
Mommy
Mommy
timeout.
timeout.
we joke we're going to send the kids to their room, and I'm like, I wish somebody would send me to my room.
I know, every time
Can I go
I've,
take a nap?
yeah, every time I've ever sent you to your room, you said thank you.
Or I'll be like, would you please send me to my
Yeah,
room?
would you please?
So I have found over the years, I'm getting old, so I've learned some things.
Well, you're young, baby.
Sometimes just a cup of coffee and looking at a magazine for 15 minutes is all it takes to
Yeah.
kind of reset me. During the winter, I love doing Christmas puzzles, and I just keep a puzzle out all the time. And even if I've let the dog out and I'm waiting 10 minutes for the dog to come back in, I'll go over and just put a few pieces in the puzzle, and it's just the most relaxing thing to me. Go take a quick little walk or go stand outside and get some fresh air and watch the snow for 10 minutes. Just take a mommy time out.
Speaking of snow, do you see it snowing out our window?
Yeah, that fake window behind us, but it really
It's
is pretty.
lovely.
And
So-
you don't have to
It's a
shovel
white
it.
Christmas.
So Angie,
don't have
what do
to
you
shovel
what
it.
do you do to unwind? Is there like a certain thing that Shannon does puzzles? You eat Lily's chocolate?
This is all the chocolate you can get, as much as you can get.
Yeah, but then
No, I'm joking.
it goes
Partly.
right on the hips.
You trying to tell me something, Shannon?
No, I'm not trying to tell you something. This is from years of living it.
Yeah.
So tell me what you do as a mom with older children, 2
Well-
and up. What do you do to kind of keep the chaos down?
Older children being toddler, which is like,
Terror, T for toddler.
having a toddler it's kind of like you forget. It's like birth. You forget.
Yeah.
And then when
And
you're
it's a
in it,
good
you're
thing.
like, oh,
It's a
this
good
is
thing you
serious.
We have a toddler
Who
in our
does
life.
this more than once?
We actually have a toddler in our life, babe.
forget. Yeah, we have a toddler granddaughter that spends a lot of time at our house, and I'd forgotten about the terrible twos.
I mean, it's hard to find time out
Yeah.
because like
They're
someone might
always
not
there.
survive. Someone might stop breathing or something might happen. So
Choked to death.
you
or-
have to bundle people up to go outside and
during
get a
nap,
break.
I guess.
Yeah.
You live for nap
You
time.
have to get creative with your
What have
with
you
your
done
breaks.
over the years to keep from things getting out of control? I mean, you'd mentioned to me earlier about, starting when your kids are young with simple traditions instead of all
Yeah.
of it all at once.
Yeah. Well, something I would commend to every mom. Keith's phone is ringing.
It's
Fired.
mine.
He's fired.
It's mine.
Oh, chance. Oh, it's a midwife's phone. That's okay. Excused. So something I would commend to every mom, and I've really been trying to think about this season, is taking time to reflect on what your role really is as a mom in the home. And I kind of mean not what you can see. I don't mean like
But the nurturing part of it, the love.
yeah, and really it's the mom's attitude in the home that sets the tone for the whole home. And so, yes, making it holly and jolly and festive is all part of it, but it's so much more than that, and it starts underneath that. And so, if your attitude about the work that you're doing isn't right, then eventually all the other stuff is going to catch up with you, and it's not
There's
going to
no
be festive
point.
anymore.
This article I was reading actually talked about that, how sometimes we're trying to do everything so well so that everybody else enjoys it. And we've got this great atmosphere and these great activities and these great cookies and all the stuff we do. But underneath of it all, we're falling apart, we're stressed.
Yeah.
And then there's the work of trying to fake it that you got it all together
Oh, yeah.
and that you're not stressed about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's not
it's almost
good.
a mental health issue.
Oh, for sure.
Probably is.
Yeah. You were saying like Christmas anxiety, and I was wanting to call it like Christmas crazy because it gets off the rails. But, I definitely think and believe that pouring yourself out for your family, serving them to create these beautiful memories is absolutely a good thing. That's fine. Work hard, go hard, be tired for your family. That's wonderful. But if it's getting to a point where it's unhealthy or you're starting to feel resentment or bitterness towards the holiday or towards the things that you're trying to do, something has to go. It's too much.
What have you
And it's going to undercut all that you're trying to do. So I was thinking about some of the things because I'm one of the worst people at this. I want to do all the things. I want to make it super festive. And the more kids you add to that mix and the more variables, like we just had a baby or we're about to have a baby or we have a toddler or whatever, it's not sustainable.
You're like the Christmas movie I watched the other day where the gal was determined to make Christmas so much fun.
Yeah.
And what she really was doing was driving everybody crazy because she
Right.
wanted to do so many things.
Yeah,
Yep.
but Angie, you guys have always had such great family traditions. So hopefully that's continuing in this.
It's continuing, but you have to
Something
be
has to
careful.
go.
Sometimes things have to give. So some of the things I've been thinking about, and Shannon and I were talking about this earlier, is pick your best ones. Like if you can't do them all at once in one season for whatever reason, because it's just it's too much at this time in life, pick your top few and just be okay with doing those ones. Or like you were saying about Christmas cookie recipes, like
Yeah.
still bake cookies with your kids, but don't make
8 different kinds.
yeah, or don't have
Make 2 or 3 different kinds.
8 different frosting colors.
Yeah.
Just pare it back and be okay with that, and realize that it's the connection that you're building with your family that is really the gold nugget of what this is about.
Yeah, it's not about your kids making the most beautiful Christmas cookie or gingerbread house either. If it looks like a haunted house, it's okay. They had fun and you spent time together.
Yeah. So go for quality over quantity in your traditions.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've been really guilty of, which I would try to head this off for you, is especially when you have younger kids in the house and you're really wanting to build your Christmas traditions, start slow and understand that you don't have to do every one of them that you've seen on the internet or heard about all in one season. Like, it's okay to start small. Do one thing that's really important to you and then build over the years, and don't think that you have to fit it all in this Christmas. Like, there, Lord willing, there will be time.
They have a term for that called FOMO.
Yeah. Fear of missing out. Yeah. Right. So, start smaller, build as you can, as you go.
So only one sleigh ride together as a family each season.
Well, you know what I was thinking?
With the horse-drawn carriage
With
and
the
your
horse.
like white Christmas
And the
beautiful
snow.
fur coat
Yeah, and the
outfit.
snow coming down and the families
The
all singing
Hallmark
into
Keith,
Christmas.
you're not helping us out here.
I think about the year that we did the Living Nativity at one of the churches. And yeah, it was going to be this great and wonderful thing. And I was excited. And, the whole time the kids are grumping, it's cold. Can we leave?
Right.
I'm done. When are we going home?
We were
But you're
waiting-
like determined. You're
like,
going to
how
have
peaceful.
fun.
We were
Yeah,
waiting
have
for
fun.
the camels to go over the hill with
Yeah,
the backlighting. It was cold out there.
Yeah.
The cows are coming
The
home.
cows are coming home.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I think for us personally, and I've shared this in Christmases past, but one of our greatest traditions is adding to our Christmas book collection, mainly kids' picture books. But we add to it each year, and we wrap them, and the kids get to open them a few each day in all of December.
How many
leading
do you
up,
have now?
like over 100.
What?
No,
Wow.
it's crazy. I need to pare back. Speaking of, I need to go through and weed out and
And you wrap them
Not
all?
your favorites?
You wrap
Right.
them all?
we wrap them. Yeah.
Wow.
And we've had to modify a bit each year. It kind of looks a little different, but we do wrap them and the kids get to pick them. But if I was going to commend to you a Christmas tradition, it would, you don't have to wrap them, but it would be letting your family soak in excellent Christmas stories. And by this, I don't mean like Frosty the Snowman, which no offense to that. That's fine. Frosty, Santa, whatever. But there are so many great resources out there. Read Aloud Revival and classical homeschooling blogs.
Just the true
and
meaning of Christmas.
and getting into these books that, you're not going to find them on a shelf in a bookstore. But they're phenomenal. They're classic. They're great. And almost all of them have this element of a family that is going through a trial or is poor. And, does anybody feel me on that? Like, if money's just not stretching for this pile of presents like you would like it to. But, you can build your traditions and your family's culture based off of the moral character of the people in these stories. And over time, reading these to your kids and just soaking in them creates this culture of, we're going to soak in the peace and soak in the joy as a family together, and we're going to wrap people into that. And that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Well, we like movies too, so it's kind of like books. But if you can get together around the family, and like one of my favorite movies in the last number of years is a movie that Dolly Parton put out. It was about her story and how their family went through real circumstances.
Yeah, if you guys haven't watched that, your kids would love it.
I forget what it's called.
What's it called?
Coat of Many Colors.
Coat of Many Colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they did
Yeah.
a season 2 of it. And it's just real life stories of what they went through and how they had to make gifts for each other. It was just amazing to think
The
about
true
how,
meaning of Christmas.
yeah, everything stripped back, and they were just loving each other and getting through, winter storms, lack of food, all that stuff. And then just having the warmth of Christmas.
Yeah.
It was just great.
Something we've done too for years is have a birthday party for Jesus. That's a pretty important, focus. In fact, I have a big banner up on my wall that says, "Happy birthday, Jesus," because I didn't want my children, and now I don't want my grandchildren to forget what the real meaning of this is and why we're having this big celebration.
Right. Right. Yeah. And, just hearing those stories almost makes you think like in our abundance and in our consumer culture,
We're
that's
not
just like
thankful.
this, like lights and plastic and everything everywhere. It's just so over the top. And it almost crushes you to the point that you have to fight to pull yourself out from underneath that pile to find the peace and the joy. Whereas
You are so dramatic.
the people,
I like it though.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling the pile sometimes,
passionate.
right? No, but it's
The
like, the
passion.
people in these stories that had the meagerness and had
Right.
the little,
Yeah.
and yet they had so much.
They were excited to get a beautiful red ribbon for Christmas because they didn't have things like that, or for someone to draw them a picture.
Yeah.
And plus, if you don't see that, if you don't visualize it or read a book about it, then you would think that whatever situation you have, that's your Christmas, and no one else has anything else different.
Right.
I like the worldview of those type stories and reading those and watching those movies. It's
It is
great.
awkward having you
Sorry.
clear over here and I mean, you can
You're
look
in the
at
middle.
him. I'm like
I'm
cranking my head around.
Just don't look at him. You see him
I'm
all
on
the
the
time.
dining room table, and you guys are in the living room, so our listeners now know.
Yeah.
So how have you pared back?
So we're a homeschooling family, and man, I tell you, trying to fit in homeschool and just keeping the house picked up and chasing after a toddler, and then on top of that, trying to make it festive and add in these Christmas
It's a
pieces.
full-time
It's
and a half job.
You can't do it. And so for us during December, if there are things that we want to prioritize, like keeping it a little more laid back, we do. And most of December, we don't do school anyways, but even the first couple weeks, we just okay, the baby's napping, we're going to watch a movie. We never do that. Baby can't have screen time. So we don't get to do screen time with our kids anymore. But so the baby's napping with my older kids, we're going to put in a movie that's pretty uncharacteristic for us. And we're going to sit and eat a cookie and watch a movie and do our Advent books together instead of laundry and instead of school, instead of math. So my kids might be a little behind on math, but here we are building these traditions.
Nobody has clean underwear and socks.
I go inside out, I go front and back. What is that line from Big Hero 6? I go inside out, I go front, I go back.
Well, hey, they're getting more reading time, right? So
who needs clean underwear?
yeah, who needs clean underwear?
No, I wish I'd been more like that when my kids were young. I'm more like that now. The house is wiped out. It's wiped out. I'll pick it up when it's
right.
over.
Yeah.
But I wasn't then because I was trying to be super mom, and it would make me look like a crummy mom if I didn't have the house clean, the kids clean, everything done, caught up.
Yeah.
It was a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So you know what? Reject that pressure. Make some hot cocoa, put your feet up, and have fun with your kids.
I laugh too because back in the day, I would make little gingerbread men. We didn't make the big giant ones. And I would cut every single one out. And I swear sometimes there would be dozens of them. Nowadays, I have this giant cookie cutter that's like this big. It's like an 8.5 by 11 cookie cutter. And you stamp it down and it cuts out a dozen gingerbread men at a time.
Nice.
I used to cut out all the Christmas cookies in different shapes. Now I cut squares for sugar cookies, and I take a giant frosting tip and just swipe over it once and it's frosted and throw some sprinkles on. They taste the same. They taste the same. And you know
You
what?
rebel.
The stuff that I think is so important or thought was so important,
Yeah.
the kids don't even remember.
Right.
Oh, except for the year, because I had so many babies that came. We always and always have had gingerbread men for Christmas. We had New Year's Christmas gingerbread men, and I thought they were going to crucify me. I'm like, you guys, I made the dough. It's in the fridge. I'll have them done by New Year's. But we always have gingerbread men for Christmas.
See, and everyone survived, and it still
They
tasted
lived.
yummy.
They live.
So do New Year's.
And I always think about, you hear that saying, is this going to matter in the whole scope of eternity?
Right.
Well, no. If they were covered in mud or had macaroni and cheese on their shirt when you went to the grocery store, is that going to change your eternity?
I love macaroni
You know?
and cheese on my shirt.
If you've got baby spit up on your shoulder when your neighbor stops by, is it going to be do or die for eternity? No.
Right.
I think we're full of a lot of pride and we watch too many Hallmark movies.
Yeah. Yep. So shut down the Pinterest and the Instagram and go read a book with your kids.
Good advice. And have a Merry Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Cheers. Are you going to do our intro? Are you introducing us? You have to. I can't just start talking.
No. We've been talking. I don't know what. It's.
Well, welcome back to More About Birth. We are here with Shannon and Angie, and it is
That
our
look.
famous yearly Christmas podcast. How are you doing, ladies? And Angie, you're in town again. What's with that?
Woohoo! She came in town just to do this and hang out with me. I
So nice.
I feel special.
Yeah.
You should.
And we were kind of talking about just like saying hi and Merry Christmas, but we decided we're just going to take this opportunity to do a little
But
podcast.
can we stop and say Merry Christmas?
I just did.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, we got to start again. I was muted.
Oh, forevermore.
I know.
For the love of Pete.
We're never going to get that moment back, Keith.
Well, welcome
ever.
back to More About Birth. This is.
What is it?
There we go.
Where are all the rodeo boys? Come on, people. This isn't working.
Roadies.
Where
Where
are
are
my
you?
rodeo boys?
Rodeo.
They're
boys?
roadies, not
I've
rodeo
been
boys.
watching too much Heartland.
I love that show.
How does this go? This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For our full disclosure, visit us at nc-midwifery.com. We'll see you soon.